Okay, now we're going to review something else that all aerials have, and that is a auxiliary power unit. And those are on the trucks for in case you'd lose your engine in the middle of fire, or your PTO would kick out for some reason. And with all electronic things now, that could happen. A solenoid goes bad and your hydraulics, your power takeoff kicks off. Now your aero apparatus is dead. Not too often do diesel engines fail, but maybe you'd have an injector pump go out right at the scene of a fire and you lose your motor. So you got to have a way, first of all, to get the operator out of harm's way in case that would happen. And then the other thing is you have to have a way to get the ladder back into bed and all the jacks picked up so the truck can be towed away. And it's usually through a EPU switch, emergency power unit. And there's a correct way to use them. On this truck, it's a two-person process. I have to hit the auxiliary power button while the operator's on the control pedestal doing whatever function he wants to do. And there's a correct sequence in doing that. And that is, if I want to, let's say we want to rotate left. He operates the rotate left before I hit the EPU switch. Because if you don't, there's no place for that fluid to go. And the EPU, all it's doing is operating like a starter motor. It's an electric motor that's generating some hydraulic pressure. I think the big pumps, when it's under normal, is generating like 3,000 pounds pressure, and it flows like 20 gallons per minute. Well, this little EPU unit only generates like 2,000 pounds pressure, and it's only flowing like a gallon or a gallon and a half a minute. So everything is going to be extremely slow. So we're going to try that. We're going to rotate left. So I tell my operator, let's rotate left. I'm going to come up here. He tells me, go ahead. Go ahead. And I'll hit the EPU button. And you can see how slow we're moving, but we are moving the ladder. I'm going to stop. I'll tell him stop. I'll let off the button. He lets off the control. I let off the EPU switch before he lets off the control because you want that oil flowing somewhere. Now we're going to do it wrong once, and then I'll go back and do it the right way, and I think my mic will pick it up. You can hear the little electric motor. When I hit the button before he does the function, you're going to hear that there's a pressure builds up and that motor's straining. So we're going to try that once. I'm going to hit the button without him hitting the function and see if you can hear this. You can hear that, it's deadheading. There's nowhere for the fluid to go. We'll do it one more time, correct. Go ahead, operator, hit your left rotation. Go ahead. And I'll hit the button. Now listen. You can hear the difference. All right, we can retract. I'll do that once. Go ahead and hit retract. Good. And we can hoist, and you'll see how much more energy it takes to hoist. Let's try hoist. Good. You can see how slow it's moving. Now we're lower at once. Good. Here we go down. You can see how much easier it is to lower because we're using gravity to help us. Okay, that's your EPU switch, and I think the thing to remember about that is, one, if you don't practice it once in a while, you're going to forget how to do it. You'll forget the sequence of operating the function first, then hitting the switch. And every truck's a little different. Some of them have an EPU at the control pedestal also. Some it's just down here. So you got to know what your truck does and how it works. So you need to practice it so you remember how to do it. And the other thing, every one of these that I've ever been around recommend in the manual that once a month they be used so that they flows hydraulic fluid through the motor, through the lines, and through all the seals. If you don't do it for 6 months, one, it may not even work. The motor may have corroded from winter, going through the winter, and it doesn't work, or the seals go bad in them. So once a month you should use these and flow fluid through them like we have here today. And the other thing is they are a starter motor. So if you do a lot of functions with it for a long time, it'll eventually overheat and it can burn up the motor. And it's just a starter motor, but it will burn it up if you use it too long. Most of them in your manual will tell you how long you can use it and then how long it has to cool off between uses. Most of them now can say that you can run them continuously for like 30 minutes. So that's enough time to put the truck away. And obviously, if somebody's in trouble, we move it and we don't care what happens. But once we get to the point where the ladder or the aerial platform is not in danger and we're pretty much just trying to get it back in its bed and get these jacks picked up so that we can have it towed away, we don't need to run that motor all the time. What we can do is maybe rotate it in line and retract it, then go do something else and lower it in the bed, and then go do something else, and then pull up the jacks, then do something else, and let that motor cool down a little bit between operations, because we're not in a giant hurry at this time to have the truck towed out of there. So that's just some food for thought there on EPU.